Please leave your message. Please leave your message for
Yellow.
Yeah, hello.
How's it going?
It's going good, buddy. How you doing?
Oh, I'm okay. Sleep cycle's been all messed up lately, but aside from that, we're doing okay.
Wait, what'd you say?
Oh, my sleep cycle's been all fucked up, which I don't enjoy.
What are you on?
Well, I mean, generally when things are going well, hold on one second.
Yeah.
I'm gonna put you on mute. Brian, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Hear you loud and clear.
Okay, beautiful. I mean, generally, I like wake up pretty fucking early and in bed by 10:30 or so. But I don't know what happened where it started creeping back later and later, and then I was just I wasn't able to fall asleep until really fucking late. And it's not even that I'm doing anything. I could understand if I'm working on something or really engaged, but it's just I don't know. And then the last week or so, my allergies have been really fucking with me, which is prevented. Yeah.
No,
so,
yeah, that I mean anybody I know with mild allergies even has been having problems. I remember yours are pretty intense.
Yeah. And I honestly, I don't really know. I don't think my stuff is seasonal or whatever. I think mine, based on when I got my allergies tested when I was a kid, which I want to do again and find out exactly what my triggers are and stuff.
Yeah.
But I think just in the house this much.
Yeah.
It's dust.
Yeah, it's
dust,
always been a
mold.
dust thing, right? Because you had your special pillow on tour.
Yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah.
Wait, but that wasn't a dust thing. What was that? What's in
Well,
pillows?
no, actually, it was
Feathers?
the pillow. Well, no, because the pillow, it was a dust thing because it's the dust mite.
Ah. Oh shit. I don't think that was me. Maybe it was me. I don't think it was Aaron either.
Hey, hello.
Hey, sorry about that. I don't know.
Yeah, it's dust mite feces. Actually,
that's right. That sounds familiar.
Yeah, so it's like having a pillow that has this like cover that the mites can't get through or whatever.
I got you. That's
important.
what it is. Yeah, like
and
a flea collar.
I don't know if you know this because we haven't toured since this has been a part of my life. That's I think what we learned most intimately about one another's lives. I have sleep apnea, which you probably heard when we were on tour. I would snore really, really loudly.
Yeah.
But I'm treating my sleep apnea now with a constant pressure activate CPAP. I'm not sure what the acronym
one of those
is.
Like oxygen mask kind of looking things? Is that a different thing?
Oh, it's a horrible looking thing. Yeah, it looks like you associate it with like either 100-year-old person or a 400-pound person.
Yes, I've seen these.
Characters such as Bane might come to mind. Yeah. So it's not an ideal situation, but like it has helped me to sleep a lot better.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. I would think it would be hard to. I mean, obviously, sleep apnea is going to keep you up always, but like, I would think it would be hard. It must have been hard to get used to the machine.
Oh, it still is, and I'm like a year into it, and I'm still like, I'll still like subconsciously I'll take it off at night.
Oh, sure.
Like, what the fuck is this thing doing on my face?
Oh my god! I had. I don't know if you had any orthodontics done to you back in your childhood.
No,
I had some extensive things, quite extensive. They sound like medieval when I think of them now. There was a thing in my upper mouth that was called like an expander. Have you heard of this? And it would, and my mom would like insert a key into it and then like.
Oh my god!
Crank a thing every like 2 days, and it would separate my 2 front teeth. That was That's a real thing. I definitely believe that they were hoodwinked. That like this was unnecessary stuff that was happening for thousands and thousands of dollars. But anyway,
all jokes aside, that there's been a lot that's been written about that.
Yeah,
because for dentists or orthodontists to be like profitable, it's like really hard because your margins on just like cleaning and maintaining people's teeth are not that high.
Right.
So the whole like orthodontist thing, and it like ramped up in the like early 90s or whatever when baby boomers kids were like coming of age.
Yeah.
Funny enough, that like they convinced us that it was a medical necessity and that like our teeth that was going to be unhealthy if we didn't have straighter teeth. Yeah. But it's entirely cosmetic.
Right.
It's a thing that like, because we wanted to look good and it played on the fucking like baby boomers. Like you want your children to be pretty and have grandbabies, right?
Right. And not just that, God. It's like, it was also like a status symbol. Your children became status symbols. And so it was like, you wanted your kid to have straight teeth or whatever. And
on that tip,
they totally sold us on that too. They totally said it was like that my teeth problems were like going to become like physically painful.
Yeah, that's fucking crazy. And I remember on the tip that you had mentioned a moment ago about the status issue, I remember being resentful and like angry at Bob and Nancy for not being able to afford dental work for me.
Oh,
like
you fucking went the other way.
You broke motherfuckers. Like I want to look good. Yeah. I don't want to look like a fucking buck-toothed ghoul for the rest of my life. It's on your head.
Yeah, I
yeah.
resented it the other way, where I was like, I felt like I was like in and out of doctors a lot, and I didn't want one other. I mean, who wants to be in an orthodont? Like, it was always like the most painful shit in the world. It just felt like going to get tortured, and you can't see the end in sight. You know what I mean? You're like, I seem to be like fine otherwise. Like, this seems to be the problem.
Oh yeah.
But so I was, and it fed into the other resentments that I had about, like, you know, other aspects of me that I felt like I was being wrongfully controlled. You know what I mean? Like, I felt like, you know, just like stupid shit, just like, what, I don't want to wear that to the funeral. Why can't I wear my bathing suit to a funeral? You know, I don't know, that sort of thing. Not quite that extreme, but you know, and
right.
And totally. So then I had so many like medieval style apparatuses that I would have to wear at night. One of which was like, it was like a plastic chin. It looked like a, you know, on a, like a hockey helmet or something, like the attachment that hooks onto your chin. So I had a like a wraparound thing that was on the top of my head, like where my bald spot is now. And then it connected to a plastic chin thing that would like hurt my chin. And then coming out from there were like these two, like, look like fangs, kind of like reverse tusks or something that would come out, and like rubber bands would go from those things into my mouth. It was crazy. Like, it was it was the kind of thing like I couldn't bring, like, I wouldn't bring it made some of the night braces that people brought to like a sleepover or something, it made those night braces look like just fucking normal walks in the park. Like, I wouldn't bring this thing anywhere, even to my best friend's house. And invariably, I don't think I ever wore it an entire night, because I subconsciously I would wake up and just rip it off my face, because it was so uncomfortable and painful. Like, I couldn't sleep at all, and I was just like, and clearly sleep is more important, is way more important for the psyche, for your physical healing, for all of that stuff. Like, it's the most important thing we can do. So, and I was already like, kids don't sleep like enough at that age, because you're forced to like wake up at like 5 a.m. to go to school,
which is absurd also.
Oh, completely absurd. And you like eat lunch at like 10 a.m. and then like
right, they're like totally, I mean, the jig is up. Like, the American educational system at that point is like, it's not like, hey, we're not teaching these motherfuckers, we're making them into, they're little baby capitalists, and they're getting ready for war and making money.
Right.
And that's all we're doing.
Yeah, and like, that was good. Like, the fact that I was eating I mean, the food they provided us was garbage, and like literal garbage. And like, it was, I ate greasy French fries every day, a big pile, ketchup, and and almost every day a frozen slice of pizza that was reheated. And I ate this every day with like chocolate milk and like one dessert thing. And then I wondered why I was so depressed in high school and middle school.
Oh yeah.
You know, like why I was so, just felt shitty all the time. Why I got sick constantly. I'd get the flu all the time. Which I thought was like thyroid problems, but it was probably both. And then I would go home and eat like fast food. And so I would eat garbage, but even that was good. Like, didn't you like volunteer at a school in Chicago where then you had to like write a grant to get food?
That was the thing. Yeah, because they stopped. It was my job for a while. It wasn't volunteer work.
Okay,
the pay was damn near volunteer work. I'm trying to think what I made per hour. It was not a ton, but so basically what I was a video production teacher in the alternative schools network. Okay. So what we did was we were like teaching them how to get jobs in the video production trade. You know, all those jobs, you know, shooting videos for weddings.
Oh, I know all about it. Sure. Yeah. You taught people how to edit a wedding. Hey, I went to college for that, so I understand.
How to edit a wedding.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, like, that whole thing was pretty absurd on its own, but like,
But why not?
whatever. I
Why
tried,
not?
to teach them how to edit things and shoot things and whatever. But like, quickly became aware that it was damn near impossible to do the job that I was, tasked to do, which was teach them how to edit some video when they weren't eating. They would have like Laffy Taffy and like bullshit the whole time in class. I was like, what's wrong? Why do you guys, they're like, we don't have lunch. I'm like, what are you talking about? The lunch isn't any good? They're like, no, literally, we don't have lunch. I'm like, shut up, dude. The lunch just must not be any good. You just don't want to eat it. Like, no.
Oh
they stopped having, there's not enough of us. What are you talking about? He's like, our school is so small and poor that there's not enough. Because, okay,
that makes
Chicago Public
so little sense. The idea that like, oh, there's too few of us to feed, so they don't.
Yeah. So, yeah, but it was an alternative school where, like, basically anybody in an alternative school had, like, they were there because they had dropped out of Chicago Public Schools.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, when you had dropped out of Chicago Public Schools, but you still wanted to get a degree, you could go back to what was called an alternative school. And there were, like, 12 of them. So they got money in the same way that, like, a charter school gets money. So, like, charter schools get money because Betsy DeVos cons the government into thinking that they're a good idea, and they get them because of union busting. But alternative schools actually were not bad because they got a small chunk of public education dollars to have these specific schools that were set up so to cater towards dropouts or people who had dropped out to help them get back up to speed and have a specific
to get like
classroom for them.
To get like a diploma of some kind.
Right. So they also got CPS lunches. However, this school was really poor. It was poorly run, and it was just overwhelmed and like didn't have enough resources. And one of the ways it didn't have enough resources was it didn't have people that advocated for getting them any food. And I think those guys were pretty poorly behaved, and there was a pretty antagonistic relationship between the full-time staff and them. And I don't think a lot of staff really wanted to go to bat for them.
Sure.
Because they were kind of dicks to them.
That is what happens. That's just the conflict between like the slightly middle class and the lower class, and yeah, pretty
textbook. So anyhow, they just had gone on for like months, years without having lunch.
Yeah.
So I devised an idea that was like, we were going to make a video to talk about, make a little short documentary talking about why that they don't have lunch, that this is a school that has no lunch. And this was before the GoFundMe culture was like the GoFundMe culture.
Right, that's true.
But
yeah, I didn't even think of that.
Yeah.
There's no like no Patreon, no. Yeah.
Basically, the idea was to make what is now a GoFundMe video,
that was the original. Yeah. Okay.
Well, yeah, that they would use their so we spent our time in our class recording interviews with each other about what they ate that day, talking about the school lunch thing, and just making all of these short videos.
Right. You were doing an Errol Morris thing, Thin Blue Line style, except instead of getting that hillbilly out of prison, you were trying to get a couple of lunches.
Yeah, I just tried to get those guys
video
fed.
class.
Exactly. So what happened? So I can't remember how. So I started filling out grant applications while they were doing this to try and get some money for this thing. Because it was working in that they were talking about it. We were making videos about it in our class. But I wanted to get some money. I mean, ideally, I wanted to get enough money that they would have actual school lunches.
Yeah.
But so I filled out a handful. Can't remember how many applications. It was cool to like learn how to do like grant writing or whatever.
Yeah.
And so I filled out a number, and the one that hit was this like Presbyterian. It was like It was like
a religious thing.
Yeah,
Christian
and
charity.
they were cool. They're a Presbyterian charity. So I met with this lady, and she came down to our school, which is really cool. And she saw what was going on, and it was pretty clear what was happening. So she ended up giving us her organization ended up giving us a couple $1,000. It wasn't a ton of money.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah, but we got some money, and then.
And you were eating out of the garbage at that point, if I remember correctly.
That was your
peak freaking time, I think. You were eating like a king, but I feel like most of it was coming out of a large network of professional dumpster divers.
It was definitely a professional dumpster diving operation at that point. So that was also the time where we were about to go away on Everything is Terrible Buggy Wuggies tour. So this all came to pass in the spring, where we ended up getting this money, but I ended up having to give my job, or to train somebody else to take my job teaching these guys. And he was cool. He did a good job with it. And I didn't end up getting to see. We hired this guy who was a chef. Because my whole thing is that I wanted to like spend a bit of a chunk of that money. They got some equipment. They got some equipment out of it, and the equipment. I didn't want to spend a bunch of money on equipment because that's just expensive, and that would have bought one thing.
Yeah, that would have emptied the account with a microphone.
I wanted as much of it to go into them. So I was like, let's just have have a sweet lunch that was like catered, that had like 3 courses of like healthy food and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And I wanted to have like a whole like food fair,
Yeah.
where they would have like, my dream was to have like different people come in and like give demonstrations about like healthy cooking and eating all this kind of stuff. I don't think that it ended up being quite on that scale. They got fed, they got a cool meal out of it and everything, which is great. But I don't know if as much. I don't know. I think I had a bigger vision of what we could have gotten done.
Yeah. Did they feel excited about it? I'm curious of the response, or was it still kind of like, fuck this?
Well, there was a mix of like, this is pretty good, but fuck this weird cold soup.
Yeah. Yeah, I could see. It took me a really long time to learn how to learn that like food was good. You know what I mean? That was a big thing. Like I drank a cup of coffee in Ohio when I didn't have it till I was later because my parents didn't drink it. And I was like, coffee sucks. It was probably a couple like generic Folgers or something in college. And so I would still like drink it for the high, but I would like, fill it with like whatever I had, like ice cream or something. And then, I probably when I was like 17 or 18 or something, I had my first beer and I said, beer sucks. Like, and of course it was a, like, I don't know, probably a natty light or something. And okay. And then and it was the same. Like I thought vegetables sucked because all I ever had was frozen vegetables that were then steamed. And it honestly, I didn't like break out of the pattern of just eating junk food because I thought that was the only food that I liked until I moved to California and just had some. Well, yeah, because at that point as well, I started touring with you and Nick, who had you like through working at various good restaurants and other things, and just like, I don't know, somehow you guys had learned how to cook and how to eat, and like so that like totally, that first tour, like really like being forced to just eat good food. You know what I mean? Like, just like where it's like, I'm hungry and this salad or this wrap is being made. And all it is like a series of vegetables with some kind of goopy sauce. And but it's like soup, you know, it's like super flavorful. Like when I first toured with Country Death, like Seth just texted me the other day and said, "Hey, you remember eating cold bean sandwiches in the van?" And what a cold bean sandwich was we'd take some black beans, we'd empty, like drain the juice out, put it on a piece of like white bread, cover it in some like seasoning mixture, and just take it down. Yeah, and we were super depressed, had no energy. We're getting drunk every night, and we're really wondering why we were so miserable. We thought we should be having the time of our lives, you know. Here we are, getting out of Ohio, traveling around the country, playing music, living our lives, and like didn't have any ties to anything, no apartments, just living in a van. Like, should have. And in some ways it was great, but like quickly that novelty will wear off, and if you're not taking care of yourself, it's just you deteriorate. And we both, in brain and bodies, just deteriorated because I just didn't know. And it was amazing to see, even though I was still drinking so much on the Everything is Terrible tours. It was such a stark difference to just like eat well.
Yeah.
Makes such a difference.
And even, it's funny because like there's like a good decade of my life that, I mean, you just described, like it's how much better you can drink like a lot and do a lot of drugs, and if you eat pretty well, you can still maintain and feel pretty healthy.
Right.
Which is
and
funny
because being young helps.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So like I was in my late 20s, early 30s, so I was still resilient enough where that was still a sustainable model-ish for me. You know,
right.
I felt shit. Yeah, I would feel shitty in the morning a couple times, you know, because I drink way too much.
Oh yeah.
You know, but if I didn't overdo it that badly, I could still be pretty high functional.
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah, no, I was functional even near the end when it was clearly not working at all. I felt I was so used to the process of like blackout at night, sick in the morning, and then like a couple hours of peace of mind in the afternoon. Like when I hadn't started drinking yet, but I knew I was gonna. You know what I mean? Like just that like feeling of like, I'm going to forget about everything in a couple hours. So right now the hangover's faded. I'm all right for now. Like, which is funny because I just have that peace in the morning. And then the rest of the day is pretty fine.
I think I've started having dreams about drinking again.
Yes.
Weird. I think I definitely, I mean, I think that this,
let me ask, is it like you just kind of find yourself drinking the way you might have found yourself in high school with no pants on? Is it that kind of feeling of like, how did I start doing this? How did I forget?
It's weird. I'm trying to like put together the narratives because it's like there are those weird dreams that like you'll have in the morning where you'll like remember just bits and pieces of them.
Yeah.
But like it's all these different scenarios. It's all these different scenarios where I'm like, I find myself leading up to the decision of drinking, you know, and like sometimes I will be, sometimes I won't be. You know, it's all these kinds of ethics plays that my brain is running through and like testing out.
I've had
to see
really one specific one where it was totally just like straightforwardly about where like my brain within the dream was trying to think of whether or not I should be doing this. And the vast majority of the other ones are just like, I'm having a great time. I'm at a bar. I suddenly realized, like, holy shit, I've been drinking for hours.
Right.
Like, I'm
Right.
drunk. Like,
Right.
how is this okay? And I'm trying to like rationalize like how
Yeah.
I'm suddenly like I was just all right doing this, and why would I have let myself do this? Because I don't do this anymore.
Yeah.
And then like I wake
That
up
sounds
scared.
familiar. Yeah.
I wake up
Yeah.
scared, you know. But
Like the no pants feeling. Yeah.
exactly. I wake up scared and then like super thankful. You know what I mean? Like super
Yeah.
like, oh, thank God. And the one that actually I had the logical sense of was the night before. It was one of the first times that I was sober and just like by myself for like many days. Like Chisa had gone out of town. And I was just very overwhelmed with the idea that like I could do whatever I wanted and no one like I wouldn't have to tell anybody. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like I could remember what it was like. And I remember feeling that specifically with weed. Like I was trying to convince myself like, well, I could do weed. Weed was benign, right? Like that wasn't a big problem. And then I didn't. I just did a bunch of push-ups, went to sleep. And that night I had a dream where I had kind of convinced myself on New Year's Eve that I could like have a beer, and then from there I convinced myself and everybody around me like was in on it, and just kind of like yeah, you could just drink like one, like you can have a couple more drinks, you just do it once a year. You know what I mean? Like it'll just be this is the new rule, like, and this will be great. And I was having a great time. And then within the dream, I blacked out and woke up on the couch hungover within the dream. And then
awesome.
somebody who I thought of in the dream as my partner or something was going through all these photos on a phone of like what I had done last night while I was drunk. And it was like me like sick and like naked and like just this incredibly embarrassing like array of evidence of like what I had done. So I had to experience a blackout again within this dream. I had to experience that just sickening dread of not knowing what I did and being like filled with guilt and regret and everything. And then I woke up out of that just like, and it took me a little bit to like really realize like that was just, you know, fake, and I'm like sober, and I hadn't drank, and it felt so good. And it came right after a night where I like really gave some serious thought to like wanting to maybe smoke some weed or something. And like, but honestly, it has faded. Like I don't have those dreams anymore. I had a dream where I was not socially distancing, where I was at a party. And I had this similar feeling of like, wait, I'm not supposed to be doing this.
Yeah. I don't get them that being in this weird state where it makes me want to drink more. Like I hadn't really thought about drinking. You know, I just hit 9 months and I'm like, you know, feeling real good about it. But I think that it is like, this has created the laboratory of the times when in the past, I used to have my binges. Between jobs, nothing, like no structure, nothing holding me accountable but myself, all those kinds of, it was the time when I would binge the most.
Yeah.
So anyhow, because I'm like perpetually living that right now, it has become more on the forefront of my mind, even though I had moved past it, I thought. Right. Anyhow, it'll always be there. The best dream that I had, and I'll like keep this brief, is when I was in rehab and I was experiencing REM rebound, which is like after you quit smoking weed, you suppress your REM cycles a lot when you smoke weed. So I was getting these like really sick dreams. The best one that I had, it was amazing. It was the perpetual last call dream, where my brain in my dreamscape created this like amazing night out. It was an amalgamation of all the cool places you've been, like the cool party zones on tour and like the cool spots in Chicago. And it was this cool, amazing bar district. It was like the sweetest place you can think of to go out. And I knew everybody. I was, I had hookups with all my bartenders. I was in it, And it was my spot. And you get there, And I remember I ordered up a good bourbon, and like, and Mitch McConnell was sitting right next to me at the bar. And I'm like, let me tell you something, pal. You think you know about bourbon, but you're from Kentucky. Let me tell you. So I got to tell off Mitch McConnell and all this kind of stuff. And I'm raring. It's great. All my, and I had like all these like cool friends around me, and all this kind of great stuff was going on. And in each plate, it was like getting close to like last call.
Yeah.
And I thought, it was like, and it's last call. And I'm like, because I had hookups there, and it was like, because I remember it, like when you would bartend, you would like let people who were bartenders stay, even though you'd be kicking other people out.
Oh, I found that you could just be, if you just spent every waking minute in a bar, that they would let you stick around, and if you had hard drugs as well, they loved having you.
Oh yeah. So I thought, I was like, because I think I had some drugs, and I think it was like, it was a sweet night. I could stay as long as I wanted.
Oh yeah.
But at the first place, they're like, you got to go. It's over. I'm like, what? It's done. You can't be here anymore. And I kept going from bar to bar in this like amazing drinking utopia kind of place.
Yeah.
With each one being like, it's done. Yeah. You've got to go home.
Wow.
And like, it was profound.
Yeah, it was super symbolic. It was your subconscious, just painting this picture. It's funny because I used to make that like that joke a lot, like when I stopped drinking at first, and people would like ask, why'd you stop, or did you ever drink, like that sort of thing, like, and I would always be like, I drank it all, like they won't let me anywhere anymore. Like I used up my amount. That sort of thing.
Each human gets an amount, and I've used it up.
Yeah, it really does feel that way though. Like it feels like when you really commit to just not doing that thing anymore that you're obsessed with, like you really realize that like what happened is like, for a certain amount of us that get obsessed with chemical intake of some kind, like we at a certain point, unless we're just going to do it forever, like that kind of that chemical itself, it's not that the people around you are making the ultimatum, because usually like we were kind of functioning, and at the very least you can always find somebody else who's willing to like keep pounding. You can search those people out, and you've probably at the end already been spending most of your time with that group of people. It really is the chemical itself is making the ultimatum of just like, look, man, it's either me, or the rest of your life. Like, it's either me or everything else. Like, you gotta make a choice here.
Oh yeah. It's very clear.
Oh, totally. So what have you been doing just to like to feel okay? Because I've been feeling the same way. Like I don't spend much time on it anymore. Like it just doesn't feel like a thing I'm gonna do. So but every once in a while, what was funny is seeing people do these like Zoom happy hour kind of things, or like meeting up and having drinks and stuff. Like it just it felt like, look, man, this is the kind of experience that I kind of want to decorate with some chemicals, because this is getting boring. And you're taking all the worst parts of it and putting them together, and not having the best parts, right?
Like actually seeing your friends, and drinking.
Yeah, exactly. Luckily, I've had so many years at this point of just like dealing with thoughts like that, and like moving past it, being like, so then you have a couple drinks, then what? Like, what's next? When you run out of that bottle of wine, then what? Like that sort of thing. I mean, but what? So what are you doing to just like chill out and have fun.
Well, I mean, I have things that keep me going.
Yeah.
I think that like I try to keep myself like making myself useful.
That's
because
important.
it's like, yeah, because it's like, honestly, like I had in the back of my mind any kind of like, I think we talked about this last time we talked. If you're like a borderline prepper, you kind of know that this kind of shit is happening and it's going to happen at some. So like, I think I had known on some level that some shit like this is going to happen, whether it's an earthquake or a strike or whatever the fuck it is going to happen.
Right.
So this is like, it really, I think that like, for the first bit of it, I was like pretty, this is fine. Like I feel good because I have like mentally prepared for this kind of thing, and I feel okay about this. And like now I get to do things that I like. I don't really want to be at work anyhow.
Right.
I don't know.
And it fills up. It fills up space at first. It fills up mental space of just like dealing with this, of just like getting food, making sure you're cooking all your meals, like that kind of stuff. But like, and just the weirdness of it all fills up a lot of space of just like, this is strange. Like I'm doing new things. I'm trying, like it fills up space, but at a certain point you get like kind of used to it. And then it's like, now I find I have like techniques.
Yeah. To answer your question, like what I've been doing, I've been like teaching myself how to do stuff, so I'll like, I have a thing that's been broken.
Yeah.
I'm going to teach myself how to fix it.
Okay.
I fixed this 12-volt solar refrigerator. It's expensive refrigerator that I fucked up in my van that had burned out.
Nice.
So I watched some YouTube videos, did some research, rewired it, taught myself how to solder.
Wow. That's awesome.
So
that's like honestly where I tune out, because I've watched so many YouTube videos about like people designing their own van or their tiny house or whatever, and as soon as they get into the electrical system, I'm like, I don't want to know. It just seems too much. Like this is what I can't do. I feel like, and I tune out.
Yeah. And I'm kind of trying to push myself through some of that stuff where like I never used to like, so there's that. I mean, having my tiny house parked in front of my house, I go out there at least a couple hours every day.
Oh, so it's out there right now.
Oh, yeah, I moved it out of storage and it is parked in front of my house. I look like such a fucking hillbilly. It's so great.
Oh, wow.
I could tell that it's so funny, like the arc of my like uptight yuppie neighbors, like hating it at first and now just being like accepting of it. It was kind of funny.
They see you out there working on it.
Yeah. And I'm like, hi, how are you?
Yeah. It's funny. My mom, I've been frustrated with my mom for like giving up on like trying new things in this weird time. You know what I mean? And like, like she was complaining about running out of puzzles, and it's just funny because kind of mostly as a joke, I was like, you should just start like taking apart shit in the house and then putting it back together. That's like a puzzle, and then you learn electronics. I was like, start with Dad's phone.
Oh God. I'll put a pin in my mom running out of stuff to do, which is another common element.
Yeah, we don't need to complain about our families.
No, there's that.
How is the van coming though? How's the trailer or the RV? I guess
it's almost done. Like
wow.
I'm like it'll never be done in the true form of any thing, because there's always another step down the road. Like so like now I'm thinking about what's going to happen when I take the camper when it reaches its final form will separate from its truck body.
Yeah.
So right now it's in its larval form where it lives with the truck, but for both the camper, for both the house and the truck to reach their final forms, they will have to separate from themselves, which will be, which you got to find the proper host environment, all this kind of stuff. So it's still in its like weird larval. So I'm doing as much to it that I can do in its larval state.
Yes.
To prepare the
truck
for when it finds
kind of the parent, and you are the partner of the parent.
Yep.
And together, you and the truck are carrying this larva, like you said, through life, letting it, because you can't be birthed fully formed, or you'll kill your host. And so you got to bring it into adulthood, and then at a certain point, I think like maybe dropping it off at college for you will be like putting it up on blocks in Joshua Tree.
No, you're very right. That will be when I can jack it up on the blocks and cut it off of the thing, and it can live somewhere beautiful or live somewhere amazing. And then I cut the truck out of it, and the truck rolls out and it becomes my work truck, because it's just like beautiful old, like it's not living its best life underneath of that like that dumpy camper.
It's got a lot of dead weight.
It's got a lot of dead weight on there. That thing is going to become a 1-ton classic steak bed studio truck.
Oh yeah, it's going to feel weightless once it loses the trailer.
Yeah. So like, I mean, my I've got almost all of the carpentry work done. I've got like a little tiny bit of trim work left to do. I've got a little bit of painting work left to do. I'm gonna tile out the bathroom. The bathroom is real gross, so I'm gonna put some fresh tile in there. I'm gonna teach myself. That's my next thing. I'm gonna teach myself how to do is do tile work.
Cool.
And do that. So yeah, that's the next step. But I mean, I just looked at my I got through almost all of my old punch lists. And I put a new punch list together. It's like, 8 or 9 things that I still need to do, to troubleshoot and to figure out. But I'm like, in terms of like the span of everything that I've wanted to do, I'm like, I've got through like 95% of everything, which is awesome. Because I never would have imagined that I would have had this much time to like get that shit done.
Yeah, that is kind of what's happening. Like, it took me a while to kind of realize, to accept it. Cause like, it's hard to get creative type projects that are long form done.
Yeah.
When you're feeling precarious about shit, Yeah. But like, once I like settled into this, like I like picked up, a novel that I'd been working on for years and years. And like,
oh shit,
just started, just doing what I used to be doing when I was working on it, like, a year ago. And, I basically finished like a first draft after a month of just writing every day. And like, and now I'm editing and stuff. And it's just like, you're like, it's just like, oh yeah, this is what, if you use it right, this is what a lot of us have been talking about wanting for a long time. I mean, obviously there's a lot of privilege involved in being able to do this.
Right.
And there is a lot of precarity that's to follow, without a doubt. The fact that I'm unemployed right now, but there's no sense worrying about it when you could be getting some shit done.
Yeah. And it's like, I think that like there are days when I get more done. I'm like, and there are other days when I have more like existential paralyses.
Yeah,
that is like that fucks with me.
Oh yeah, every once in a while. Sure.
And yeah, so like I don't want to give the impression that I'm like
thriving.
Like I think that like yeah, I mean because I'll go weeks where I'll be getting more done, and I'm doing like writing for my, because we have to like in AA we opt to like write about like our past and resentments and all that kind of stuff. It's like part of the step work.
I did that.
So like
too. I wrote.
Oh, really?
I've written like a series of essays that I didn't really share with anybody. Of just
so
like
you did step work, kind of.
Yeah, just like of embarrassing, just basic humiliations that I had put on myself,
Yeah.
over the years, just to like
So
let it out.
So just to what?
Just to let it out,
Oh yeah, which is necessary.
and be honest, just to like be honest with yourself and stop denying that shit happened,
Which is absolutely what you would do.
Of
like, just
course.
deny that it happened.
I've been doing it for a long time.
Yeah. So working on a little bit of that. That's kind of part of what
Good.
I'm trying to. I have been putting a lot of that work off.
Yeah.
Well,
it sounds like the RV is ready for me to move into.
Who the fuck knows? I might be moving into it before you.
Chisa's gonna go to school in Santa Cruz, and I have no fucking idea what I'm gonna do next with my life. I have no idea right now. It's crazy.
So are you considering going up there?
I'm considering absolutely everything. Like, I don't think it's what I want to do. Like, I know I want to be. Before this started. So Chisa and I went to visit Santa Cruz while Chisa was like, did kind of a little bit of an orientation, and trying to decide like if this was the right program, and so I went up there too, kind of trying to open my mind and heart to the idea of just like moving there. And I went there, and I went out on the beach and like took in the sun and the waves and everything, and I like microdosed and like really tried to open my heart. And then I went to see I still had a bunch of time to kill. I was on the beach just walking around for many hours, and then I went to see a movie, and the only movie that was playing at the time in the Santa Cruz like college town area was that dog movie with Harrison Ford.
I worked on that movie.
Yeah, that's right. Nick told me that. Yeah, so I went and saw that movie. And like I'm still a little.
What do you think of it?
Well, so I was a little like trippy. I was trying. I kind of had convinced myself when I was on the beach that like I could live in Santa Cruz. I could just be like a dude who lives here and does whatever. I could live anywhere. I've been in I've performed in every city in this country. I could live anywhere. And and then I went to the movie, and in the opening like CGI credit, like studio credit scene, they like flash to the 20th Century Fox logo, like flashes by the Hollywood sign that I see every day from my house. And I was like flooded with emotion that like that is my home. Like Hollywood is my home. I want to make movies. This is what I want to do. And then the movie came on, and it was genuinely one of the worst movies I've ever seen. And it was Hollywood garbage. And then I was pretty much neutral again. Like, I don't know what the fuck to do. And then this shit started, and I don't know that movies are even a thing anymore. I don't even know what the fuck's gonna happen next. Chisa's classes are gonna be online. Chisa doesn't know what the fuck to do. Maybe just stay here and take classes. We just are like completely. I don't know it. The other problem is just like the rents there are just as expensive as they are here.
Right.
So
it's a very desirable place.
Yeah, totally. It's like got Silicon Valley money, plus like it's right on the coast. It's gorgeous weather. It's like perfect. And so anyway, I'm just filled with indecision. Like I thought I was going to go on tour in September. I was like that was going to bring like kind of this normalcy back to my life. You know what I mean? Like I have been holding that in front of me as like a shield against the uncertainty of the life that would come next. And now it's really feeling like with all these other
That's
states
not gonna
opening
happen.
up, that's probably going to be met with disaster. It feels like right around September is going to be at best the next close down. And so I just don't know what the next move is, you know? So that's why I'm going to live in your RV.
That's why the RV is always such a great escape pod. It's great
maybe
to
I
have
need
that
to get
there.
an RV.
It's really, I mean, you can get one for about maybe, I don't know, I wouldn't get one as cheap as I got one because it's pretty gross at that cost.
Yeah.
But,
I'm not as handy as
up,
you are by a long shot, so.
I would say for around $5,000, you can get something.
Hey, we built that bed for the back of my Honda Fit. That thing works great. I could just live in the Fit.
It's actually, I would say that might be a better, keep it small.
Yeah, I could live in the Fit, and then I could just shower at the climbing gym. If the climbing gym ever opens again.
Oh yeah, that's so funny that all these things are like not even all the things that you like had thought would be.
Yeah, all
institutions
like even my bad plans have fallen through. She says in the chat saying no.
Oh man, yeah, it's I'm sorry that things are up in the air for you.
It's okay. I'm not too worried about it. I can't. Nothing feels real. It's all very surreal right now. So I'm just like, whatever's gonna happen is gonna be fine. Like, I'm grateful for the amount of stability that I do have. You know, there's so many of us don't right now.
Oh God, I'm like it's funny that you're like talking about like deciding what is your home. Like I was myself questioning whether this is the place that I want to be and all that. Is like this is really like calling a lot of things into question for me.
Yeah, me too.
It's like I don't know. I mean, there's things about my job that I really don't like, and it caused me to like question that. And it's all right, do I want to stay here and keep humping that football that I like? This is this thing that is like is proving to me that I don't necessarily love that, I like certain aspects of it, but there's certain other aspects of it that I really don't like,
Yeah.
So, and this thing is like really forcing me to like call a lot of that into question.
A lot of meditation, a lot of self-reflection happening right now with all of us. And we don't really know what the future of that job will look like at all.
Right. And the thing is like throughout one of the byproducts of my having drank the way that I did was that like, I don't have a family anymore. I lost what was my family here. And that's really hard right now. And that's the thing that I'm like suffering with. And it's like seeing a lot of my friends are like, I'm like locked up with your partner or whatever and with their life. And I don't have any of that. And it's like, it's kind of hard. And that's like been the thing. That's been the most challenging thing. Like just wanting to get, wanting to have all that again, but like, that takes time and all that kind of stuff. And I knew that, but like having to put that on pause now indefinitely is really fucking hard.
Right. These very human, normal human, healthy desires are, totally.
So,
and that's the thing I'm thinking of was like, it had taken us time to like really kind of accept the idea of like, well, maybe it makes more sense for me to keep pursuing my dreams in Los Angeles and you to take some time, in Santa Cruz to go to school and like pursue your dreams that way. And like, we're still in the same state, like we're only 4 or 5 hours away. So still see each other a bunch, really focus on our crafts and things like that. And go on. But now it's just kind of like, I don't even know how to focus on anything. And maybe I don't want to be quarantined with anybody else, like it seems like what a silly thing to throw away when we have this partnership that's working, I don't know.
I'll tell you what. Yeah. I mean, cause I think that's the thing that I'm learning is those types of things, and like your relationships and your family are the most important types of thing.
Yeah.
You know, and that like location or all that kind of other stuff is like really secondary.
Yeah. Even
that.
it's all. I mean, the city is. I mean, and that was part of it before. Was just that, like, you know, Chisa's a huge part of my family. The biggest portion, but family is my like friends out here. You know what I mean? And like the idea was just that like I would, you know, we would still stay together and like visit each other as much as we humanly possible. But like also like this city's so important to me because I've never had this big of a collection of friends and collaborators out here. And so it was important that like I stick with them, you know, while we are all trying to do similar things as far as like make movies and make music together and write stuff and help each other with projects and all that kind of stuff. Whereas like I wouldn't really be able to help Chisa too much with like, you know, schoolwork and stuff. You know, it's kind of a solo journey in that sense of just like actual workflow, you know?
Yeah.
But anyway, a city really is just architecture, climate, and the people you know there. Like, absolutely. That's basically it.
Yeah. I'm also like kind of like coming to and like wrestling with this notion of like my ideas of like being an artist or for me, what it means and whether I am or not. And like how much like self-delusion goes into that, at least for me.
Sure.
And like, and it's weird. I don't know. Like, in some ways, I don't think that I am. I think that I'm just like a working stiff, and that's it. And I don't know. And like, and that maybe that I might be more comfortable if I'm not chasing this dragon of like thinking that I'm an artist or anything, and just allow myself to be normal.
Yeah.
And
I think it's important.
Maybe I'll be happy. Maybe I'll be happier. Or I don't know, like in the big picture, but just for right now. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
Because I think that I put a lot of pressure on myself to like, oh, I have to be doing this creatively, and I have to be doing this, and all this. It was like, no, I just want to like be able to live comfortably for a while and like try that. And I haven't. I think that like, I don't know.
Well,
I think that like there's a part of me that's just trying to allow myself that, and that's hard.
Oh, absolutely.
Because I've like.
It all, you know, to me, I mean, I struggle with the same things off and on 100%. And I think any artist, especially unless you're like making good money, and probably even if you are, really struggle with the idea of like, am I really who I think I am? And does my definition of myself have any bearing on what I actually am? You know what I mean? Like if I call myself a writer, but I don't write, am I a writer? If I write, but I don't think of myself as a writer, am I a writer? You know what I mean? Like, and so I will struggle with the balance of feeling like I'm not accomplishing enough creatively is something that I struggle with all the time. Like if I'm not, especially if I'm not working a full-time job or something, like the truth of it is I'm probably in the healthy state of mind in my healthiest state of mind, I'm pretty much only working hard on something that involves a lot of concentration creatively for like 3 hours a day. You know what I mean? And that doesn't feel like enough. So I spend a lot of the other time like a little guilty that I'm not working hard enough. And like, so, and it's just like a matter of like, you feel like, well, if I was a real writer, I would want to do it 8 hours a day. And it's like, it doesn't have anything to do with whether or not I want to, like, it just is how good of the work it is. And I would spend a lot of time like writing shit that I don't like anymore, you know? So it has to be a balance of like, I feel like it's a similar thing with any kind of relationship is like, it shouldn't feel like you shouldn't be doing something because you feel like you have to. You should just be doing it because you want to be doing it. You know what I mean? Or it's rewarding. if it's not
Right.
something you want to do, it like adds value to your life. And I really don't think those definitions really matter. The kind of artist
Right.
identities really matter, like
Right.
unless it helps you feel better about wherever you are. And like it
Which I
totally
don't.
makes sense to like in the same sense like when somebody is single and the old like adage, the old cliche of like, you know, you find somebody when you're not looking or whatever, that sort of thing.
Right.
I think that's similar
Right.
with art. It's just like I rarely, if I'm trying to write a song, am I able to just sit down and do it. But like when I need to do it, I'm able, like when it needs to come out of me, then it just does.
Mhm.
And like it never has any bearing on like what are my intentions.
That's interesting. Yeah.
But and this city is weird too, because we all most of us that live here, or at least have moved here, have this feeling of like we are here for a reason, which is why I like it here, because it feels like
Right.
a healthy mixture for a lot of the people I hang out with of ambition mixed with just creative drive. But
Right.
but at the same time, like I don't know what success would look like, and I don't know that it's healthy. Like maybe I would be happier if I just focused on other things, you know. But I don't. I'm a person who just can't. I've accepting that about myself is like whether or not it would make my life better, I just can't do it. It's like breathing.
And that's the other thing. Yeah, and that's the thing that I'm like finding it in this is like focusing on these things that I want to do. You know, that even when I'm like, oh, that's not a part of my life. I need to focus on the bottom of the triangle. I also find like, well, there are these stories that I want to tell, or like things that I want to make, or whatever.
Yeah.
It's like, yes,
absolutely.
I have to figure out a way to like make that feels so essential to me.
Yeah. Oh well, man, I think we accomplished a lot in this conversation.
Yeah, glad you called. Appreciate it.
Are you cooking something right now?
I'm making oatmeal.
Ah, okay. I thought I heard some like shaking happen.
You hear me stirring the pot.
Ah, yeah. Yeah, Cheese has been living off of oatmeal right now.
Oatmeal's a good one.
It's a comfort.
It is. It makes you feel good.
Yep. All right, man. Well, enjoy that oatmeal.
I will. Hey, say hi to Chiefs for me. I hope. Keep me posted. I enjoy these calls.
Yeah, this is great. All right, man.
It was nice to be able to catch up with you. All right, thank you so much for calling, and stay safe. And all right, bud. Take care.
All right, buddy. See you, Aaron.
Bye.
Bye. Bye, everybody.